Shedeur Sanders wasn't a top 10 pick. He wasn't even taken in the first 4 rounds. Yet his first NFL outing looked like something out of a veteran's highlight reel. Against the Raiders, the very team that passed on him repeatedly, Sanders showed exactly why passing judgment too quickly in the draft can destroy a franchise's future. This wasn't just a win. It was a clinic in poise, control, and leadership. Each throw, each decision, radiated with the confidence of someone who knew he should have been on that field all along. And for the Raiders, watching that unfold firsthand made the sting twice as sharp.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
In Cleveland, a franchise starving for identity finally found someone to rally around. Sanders' presence didn't just move the chains, it shifted the culture. His victory wasn't just about stats, it was about belief. The Browns walked into that game with questions and walked out with a quarterback. Sanders is more than a draft steal, he's a culture reset. And his early success might be the clearest indicator yet that the Raiders' gamble will haunt them for seasons to come. 7 times. That's how many chances the Las Vegas Raiders had to draft Shedeur Sanders. 7 picks. 7 passes. And now, one brutal reminder of what they gave up, served cold by the same player they ignored on draft day, in his very first NFL game. It wasn't just a win. It was a statement. Shedeur Sanders didn't just show up, he showed out. As a 5th-round rookie quarterback starting for the Cleveland Browns, Sanders walked into the NFL with decades of quarterback dysfunction behind him and still managed to make history. He became the first Browns rookie QB since 1995 to win his debut. And he didn't sneak out with a fluke or ride a defense-heavy performance. He dominated. The confidence, the leadership, the execution. He brought everything a franchise hopes for in a first overall pick, and Cleveland got it in the 5th round. Against who? The Raiders. The same team that needed a quarterback. The same team that's still searching for an identity under center. The same team that allowed this moment to happen, on their watch. While Sanders was managing the game like a seasoned pro and energizing the entire Browns roster, the Raiders were unraveling. On defense, they were picked apart. On the sideline, they were lost. And off the field, their front office was probably replaying every one of those 7 missed opportunities in their heads. It's hard to watch your mistakes come to life right in front of you. It's even harder when that mistake lines up at quarterback for the other team and beats you clean. Shedeur didn't just outplay expectations. He flipped a switch inside the Browns organization. You could see it. This wasn't just about a new quarterback starting off strong. This was about a franchise that spent years clawing for stability at the position, finally getting a spark of hope. Cleveland has seen too many names on the back of too many jerseys. Too many failed experiments. Too many false starts. But Sanders walked in with swagger, composure, and most importantly, results. One perfectly placed throw to Isaiah Bond. One high-pressure decision after another, all handled with calm and precision. One game, and it already felt like the culture was shifting in Cleveland. That doesn't happen by accident. That's leadership. That's readiness. That's the impact of someone who doesn't just play quarterback, but embodies what it means to lead a team, especially one that spent years looking for someone to believe in. And the Raiders? They're on the other side of the equation, still stuck with the same questions, still lacking direction, still watching other teams land quarterbacks who step in and elevate the entire operation. It's not just that they missed, it's how they missed. Sanders wasn't some hidden gem nobody knew about. He had the resume. He had the poise. He had the college tape. He even had swagger, something this franchise could have used to inject life into a stagnant locker room. But they didn't see it, or they didn't trust it, or worse, they second-guessed themselves. Whatever the reason, they passed. 7 times. And now, they're paying for it in full view of the league. While Sanders was commanding the offense and rallying teammates, the Raiders were watching their defense fall apart. Every completion, every well-timed play, every bit of leadership Sanders showed, it was all a reminder of what they could have had. And now, it's not just a game they lost. It's a narrative they've inherited. Because this doesn't go away, the comparisons will keep coming. Every time Sanders suits up and makes another leap, the Raiders' decision not to draft him will be dragged back into the spotlight. That's how the NFL works. You don't just move on from passing on a franchise quarterback who immediately proves he belonged. You live with that mistake. It becomes part of your identity. What makes this even harder to swallow is how visible the leadership gap was. Sanders carried himself with full command, not just of the offense, but of the entire moment. There was no fear, no hesitation. He knew he was ready. And when a quarterback has that mentality, it spreads. You could see it in the Browns' energy. The sidelines were different. The fans were louder. The whole franchise felt like it took a deep breath for the first time in years. It's rare to see a rookie quarterback walk in and take ownership like that. Even rarer to see a late-round pick do it. But Sanders brought something intangible, something the Raiders clearly undervalued. His confidence wasn't just for show. It was backed up with precise execution under pressure. His preparation was obvious. His decisions were clean. This wasn't some rookie adrenaline spike. This was professional control of a game that the Browns needed him to win. And he delivered. And while Cleveland finally sees a path forward, Vegas is stuck with regret. Because this wasn't just a poor evaluation. It was a systemic failure. The Raiders knew they needed a quarterback. The roster screams for leadership at the position. But even with 7 opportunities, they walked away from a guy who's now being celebrated for delivering under the exact kind of pressure they needed someone to handle. This isn't about a flashy highlight reel. It's about football IQ, about game management, about elevating the team. Sanders checked every box, and the Raiders didn't check his name. Every fan base has moments they remember, turning points. Either the moment it all clicked, or the moment they let it all slip away. This debut? It might just be one of those moments for both franchises. For the Browns, it feels like a potential beginning. For the Raiders, it feels like a replay of every misstep they've made for the last decade. They've been here before, drafting for need, overlooking intangibles, misreading leadership. And once again, they're watching another team benefit from a quarterback they could have had, while they spiral in a cycle of mediocrity. And there's a broader message here too. You can't win in this league without a quarterback who commands belief, not just in his arm, but in his presence. That's what Sanders brought to Cleveland. And that's what the Raiders still don't have. Leadership matters. Confidence matters. Energy matters. When your quarterback has it, the whole team feeds off of it. And when he doesn't, you get what the Raiders are dealing with right now. Regret, questions, and no clear answer in sight. 1. Yes, it's early. Yes, it's just one game. But the ripple effects are already real. Cleveland has momentum. The fans are hopeful. The locker room is energized. And all of it is tied to one rookie quarterback who wasn't supposed to start this strong and wasn't even expected to be here this soon. But Shedeur Sanders didn't wait for permission. He stepped up, took control, and handed a harsh reality check to the team that doubted him most. Let us know what you think. Did the Raiders blow it worse than anyone this draft cycle? Should Sanders have gone way higher? Drop your thoughts below. If you were yelling at the screen during the draft or during this game, hit that like button. Share this with someone who still believes passing on Shedeur was a calculated move. And definitely subscribe for more breakdowns of the NFL's bold moves, brutal misses, and the beautiful chaos in between. Let's break it down even further, because this wasn't just a high-profile rookie performance. It was the ultimate spotlight moment, and Shedeur Sanders showed up like he owned the stage. In his very first NFL start, he walked straight into one of the league's most snake-bitten franchises and gave them something they haven't had in decades, a reason to believe. Let's not forget who we're talking about here. This is the Cleveland Browns, a team that has become synonymous with quarterback dysfunction, draft busts, and the kind of long-term irrelevance that turns fans into full-time skeptics. For years, Cleveland has been the place where promising quarterbacks go to fade into obscurity. But somehow, a fifth-round rookie just flipped the entire script on day one. And the best part? He did it against the team that didn't think he was worth the risk. The Las Vegas Raiders had 7 opportunities to take Sanders. 7. It's not like they were sitting in the back of the draft, helpless. They had eyes. They had a war room. They had film. But they watched this kid rise through the college ranks with poise, production, and NFL-ready confidence, and still said, "Nah, we're good." And now, they've got front-row seats to the fallout. Shedeur Sanders didn't just show them up. He put their entire evaluation process on trial. He looked calm under pressure. He read defenses like a vet. He made smart decisions in real time. And he didn't flinch once under the weight of expectations. You'd never know it was his first NFL game unless you were watching the Raiders' defense get lit up in real time by the very guy they deemed not good enough. And don't get it twisted. This wasn't a game manager performance. This wasn't don't mess it up football. Sanders wasn't just out there executing basic plays. He was leading, taking control, adjusting to pressure, extending drives, making the throws. That one perfect strike to Isaiah Bond wasn't just a highlight, it was a message. This kid is ready for this level. Meanwhile, the Raiders looked like a team completely unprepared for what hit them. This wasn't just a missed evaluation. This was a franchise-level misread. And that's what makes it sting. The Raiders needed a quarterback. They needed leadership. They needed exactly what Shedeur Sanders is bringing to Cleveland right now. And they passed on it repeatedly. You'd think after years of quarterback roulette, the Raiders might have learned their lesson. But here we are, still waiting for them to take the leap, still watching them patch holes at the most important position in football, still watching them skip on guys like Sanders who bring more than just mechanics, they bring belief. Because that's the real difference here. Shedeur didn't just complete passes. He changed the energy of the franchise. His teammates responded to him. The coaches trusted him. The crowd believed in him. That kind of presence doesn't show up in the combined stats. It shows up in moments like this one. And Cleveland? They needed this win. Not just in the standings, but emotionally. The Browns haven't had a quarterback walk in and look this composed since. Well, it's been a while. And the fact that it came from a 5th-round pick makes it even more powerful. Because it shows that leadership isn't tied to where you're drafted. It's tied to who you are. The Raiders? They saw all the signs. And they still chose the safe route. The conventional wisdom. The let's not make a splash strategy. And now they're watching Sanders turn into the guy for another team. And not just any team. A team that has spent decades on the same journey the Raiders are stuck on now. And while Sanders is out here shifting narratives and stacking wins, the Raiders are still asking questions like, what's the plan under center? Who's our leader on offense? Why can't we get this right? Here's why. You can't fix your quarterback problem if you don't recognize leadership when it's right in front of you. You can't build a winning culture if you're scared to take chances. And you definitely can't expect to move forward if you're still clinging to outdated scouting biases that miss the bigger picture. Because that's what this was. A failure to see the bigger picture. Shedeur Sanders wasn't just a quarterback prospect. He was a franchise culture changer waiting to happen. And Cleveland saw that. They saw a player who didn't just want to compete. He wanted to own the moment. They handed him the ball, and he gave them something money can't buy. Hope. Not maybe hope. Not if everything breaks, right hope. But real, tangible belief that this could be the start of something different. And the Raiders? They walked out of that stadium not just with a loss, but with the weight of 7 missed chances sitting on their shoulders. That's not just bad luck. That's bad strategy. That's bad instincts. And worst of all, it's avoidable. Because now the damage is done. Every week that Sanders plays well is going to be a reminder. Every milestone he hits. Every record he breaks. Every win he brings to Cleveland. Raiders fans are going to watch all of it and think that could have been us. And let's be honest, it should have been. This isn't just about a single game. This is about the long-term ripple effect. The kind of impact that reshapes organizations. The kind of mistake that gets replayed on draft day recaps for years. You think this is going away? It's not. especially not when the quarterback in question is already showing flashes of being the one. Meanwhile, the Raiders are staring down a familiar spiral. The same issues. The same quarterback purgatory. The same questions about what could have been. And that's not just painful, it's preventable. They had a chance to change their story, and they let it slip away. And now Cleveland gets to write the next chapter, with Sanders leading the way. 1. If you're still keeping count, yes, it was 7 times the Raiders looked past him. And now every one of those decisions has a face. And it's the face of a quarterback who just beat them in his NFL debut. Let's really sit with it, because this one hurts. Not just because the Raiders missed on a quarterback. That happens. What makes this moment brutal is how loud the consequences were, how immediate the karma was, and how impossible it's going to be to forget. Shedeur Sanders didn't just win a football game. He redefined what a rookie debut could look like. He walked into one of the most broken quarterback situations in NFL history and made winning look routine. For Cleveland fans, that's not just surprise, it's almost spiritual. Let's be clear, since 1995, no Browns rookie quarterback had won their debut. That's nearly 3 decades of failure. Quarterbacks have come and gone. Coaches, schemes, entire front offices, rotating like turnstiles. And yet, the outcome always stayed the same. Mediocrity at best, dysfunction at worst. Until now. Shedeur didn't just break that streak. He shattered it with the kind of command and composure that most teams dream of finding in the first round. And he did it from round 5. That's the part that keeps echoing. He wasn't supposed to start this strong. He wasn't supposed to torch an NFL defense in his first game. He wasn't supposed to walk onto the field and look more confident than the guy who's been in the league for 5 years. But he did. And every play, every pass, every drive he strung together felt like another brick in the wall being built in Cleveland. Brick by brick, play by play. It didn't just look like a solid debut. It looked like foundation. Like a team that finally found a quarterback worth building around. Now contrast that with what the Raiders are dealing with. No identity at quarterback. No spark. No leadership presence under center. Just more questions. More excuses. More empty press conferences with vague optimism and 0 results. And now, the optics are damning. The very quarterback they passed on repeatedly just walked into the league and handed them an L with style, swagger, and surgical precision. The worst part? Raiders fans know this story. It's too familiar. How many quarterbacks has this team cycled through in the last 10 years? How many drafts have promised a fix, only for the front office to play it safe or swing and miss? How many development projects have they trotted out with false hope, only for it to implode mid-season? Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders is out here doing everything the Raiders needed and more in Week 1. That's not just a missed opportunity. That's a full-blown indictment of the franchise's judgment. Because let's not pretend they didn't have the chance. They had 7 separate moments to say, this is the guy. And each time they passed. How does that happen? It's a fair question. Maybe they overthought it. Maybe they didn't like his college system. Maybe they doubted the competition he faced. Maybe they questioned the confidence. Who knows? But none of those excuses hold up now. Because Sanders walked into the NFL and delivered like he'd been preparing for this moment his entire life. And honestly, he has. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a fluke. This was the result of years of work, discipline, pressure, and clarity. And when the moment came, he didn't shrink, he shined. The stage was big, but he made it look small. And that throw to Isaiah Bond? That wasn't just a highlight, it was a warning. To every team that passed on him. To every scout that wrote him off. To every exec who thought swagger was a red flag. That throw was a message, I'm here now. Meanwhile, the Raiders are left trying to explain the unexplainable. Trying to tell a frustrated fan base that their quarterback situation is still being evaluated. Trying to spin a loss into some sort of teachable moment. But the lesson already happened. And it was taught by the kid they didn't believe in. That's what's really devastating. They didn't just pass on talent, they passed on leadership, on culture, on the kind of belief that spreads through a locker room, when a quarterback walks in and commands the room without having to say a word. That's what Sanders brought to Cleveland. And the Browns knew it. They didn't overthink it. They didn't care about draft narratives or media projections. They saw a leader, a winner, a professional. And they gave him a shot. Now they've got a city waking up on Monday mornings excited to watch football again. When's the last time anyone said that about Cleveland? That's what Sanders changed. He didn't just win a game, he changed the feeling. And that's what great quarterbacks do. They don't just run plays. They reset expectations. That's why this debut matters. Because it wasn't just about what Sanders did. It was about what it revealed. It exposed the teams that didn't trust their instincts. It exposed the franchises too scared to break their cycle of mediocrity. It exposed the Raiders. And here's the reality. This won't be the last time Sanders makes someone regret passing on him. He's just getting started. There will be more games, more highlights, more wins. And every time he steps on the field, he'll be carrying the weight of every doubt, every dismissal, every missed opportunity, and turning it into fuel. That's bad news for teams like the Raiders. Because they're not just watching a great player unfold in real time. They're watching a great player with motivation unfold. And there's nothing more dangerous in this league than a quarterback with something to prove. And Sanders? He's proving it. If the NFL is about moments, this was one of them. Not just for Cleveland, not just for Shedeur, but for every team that has to live with the fact that they didn't see it. Every team that thought they knew better. Every team that's now waking up to headlines and highlight reels that scream you blew it. And now that Shedeur Sanders has officially arrived, this league has a new reality to face. He's not just part of the conversation. He is the conversation. Let us know in the comments. Did this game officially make the Raiders draft blunder the worst of the year? Were you already sold on Shedeur before week 1? Or are you just enjoying the poetic justice? Tap the like button if you felt secondhand embarrassment for Vegas during that game. Share this with the person in your group chat who swore Sanders was just a system QB. And hit that subscribe button. We'll be here all season long breaking down every triumph, every train wreck, and every franchise scrambling to clean up their own mess.